Hey guys, it's Jordan. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are doing a Dance Coach Reacts video. Today's subject is BRYNN Rumfellow, and this is her solo called Mystical Beauty from Dance Moms. Thank you for the recommendation. If I can find who recommended this, I will put your comment right here. Now, because the girls are all grown up, I am not so worried about hurting anybody's feelings, so today we are going to be doing kind of a deep dive. I'm going to be very nitpicky as I look through this solo to give some very distinct technical corrections so that you guys as the viewer, especially if you're a dancer that is looking for some extra feedback or some extra tips to help you with your own dancing, you can listen to this video, watch this video, and apply these tips to yourself, hopefully. That is the goal with these videos, as always, but let's hop right into it. Okay, so right off the bat, gorgeous lines, gorgeous costume, everything is very aesthetic. We can always count on the Abbey Lee Dance Company to make everything look aesthetic on stage, if she wants to. If you're in the doghouse that week, she ain't gonna do anything for you that's positive. But gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, so right off the bat, I noticed with BRYNN, she has hypermobility in her hips. So her hips can go like a full 180-degree turnout, but she doesn't have full strength yet, or at this point, perhaps she was going through a growth spurt, to control all of that turnout. So her hips are a little bit loose. They need to be a little bit more controlled. Absolutely making sure to use the hip adductors, making sure to really engage that spiral motion all the way from the hip down. And I do see that her weight tends to fall towards her pinky toes sometimes, and she needs to just make sure to have that weight pressed up strong through the big toe and the second toe, but just more importantly, making sure that you're at your highest releve and that you're not sickling. Let's get back into it. Absolutely gorgeous contractions, beautiful flexibility all the way through the arch of the spine, using all of that shoulder mobility all the way through, creating a full arc with the spine instead of placing all of that bend in the lower back, which can create injury, which a lot of people do. So if that is something that you're doing, make sure that you're not crunching in the lower back, but really arching throughout your entire body. Gorgeous extension, just hyperextension in the legs, definite oversplit going on there, which makes all of her lines incredibly beautiful. She uses the floor. If you take a screenshot of her while her hands are on the floor, she's really pressing through the floor, extending out the pinkies nice and wide to get a nice firm grip of the floor, and that is how you use the floor with your hands. Good job, let's get back into it. Very pretty, love the knee spin, yeah. BRYNN has a tendency to have a little bit of a forward head posture. The rest of her body posturing is great, but just make sure that she's using like that mental cue to think of like a helium balloon picking you up or lifting your head up through the back of your head. That will keep your head nice and lifted, chin slightly up, but not like looking towards the sky. Nice and lifted and elongated, and make sure that you're not jutting the chin forward and leading with the chin. Again, she has the ability to get a much higher releve a lot of the time. Her releve is high already, but she could even work the feet even more. I can see that she has the mobility in the ankles to absolutely do that, so I would be working towards that. And again, just those like hip muscles, making sure to complete that spiral motion to hold the turnout. That was a beautiful turnout. My other tip for her, because she has such beautiful limbs, beautiful legs, beautiful lines, she has, like I said, gorgeous hypermobility and the turnout, I would say to make sure that you're working at engaging the arms from the back and actually working with your arms. Like, flex those arms, feel there's muscle in there. They don't need to be just like delicate there. Like, they need to be used. You need to use your arms, engage the muscles in your arms, work the energy through your fingers, which I see that she does. She uses the hands beautifully. She works through her hands, but she has a tendency to not really use her upper epaulement and any of these connecting muscles, her scapula or anything like that, to hold her arms. It's kind of weak, it's kind of frail. Nice front aerial. I do feel like she doesn't really explode in a lot of her jumps or her leaps. She's getting into her plie, but she's not really popping out of it. It's kind of just like a strength issue I'm seeing here. She could be getting a lot higher in her jumps. Beautiful floor work, slightly rushed in the transitions. I see BRYNN as a very physical dancer, gorgeous dancer, but she's not fully connected. She's very in her head and thinking while she dances. Here I'm seeing her get to the absolute height of her releve, so high that her pinky toes are even lifting off the floor, like such a good releve, so high, so strong. So I know that she's capable of doing it, but does she do it all the time? No. Careful when you plie your supporting leg that you're not rolling into the arches of the foot. When your dance instructor says you're rolling in, it's because you're like pronating the ankle, you're flattening your foot towards the floor instead of working through the foot and keeping it lifted. But beautiful feet through a lot of this. I would say her point is beautiful, the extensions are beautiful, and when she really uses that releve, her feet are absolutely exquisite. Again, that was a matter of not holding the turnout. That could have been a lot more controlled and elegant in the lines if she really held the turnout from the hips downwards, keeping that spiral, like I said, throughout everything, keeping it completely actively engaged at all times. You don't need to let go of that. And again, the jumps are like barely off of the floor. Like, I feel like she needs to get a lot more power. So if I were training her at this age, I would be really working on her conditioning. She's probably in the middle of a growth spurt at this point, so I would just be making sure that you get in like squats in your conditioning and making sure that you're really training the hamstrings and the glutes, so that when you're actually doing your jumps and stuff, that you have some strength. She's already flexible. She's already super flexible, like among the most flexible, plus she's hypermobile. So for her, her biggest challenge would be working on strength, just to balance everything out. And shout out to her for doing those extensions where she's on one knee and extending the leg. That is so hard. That takes so much strength in the supporting leg, in my opinion. Those are so hard and they hurt the knees so much. And she did more than one. She did at least two in this number. So like, shout out to that. Let's see how this penché is. Wow. Gorgeous penché. Her arm, a little bit high for me, but it's practically perfect, so I'm not really going to complain. Her penché though, like, really shows that oversplit. She hits more than 180 degrees. It's the literal dream penché, perfect line, like so good, so good, so good. And then she really holds that arabesque with the leg over 90 degrees at the end. Again, gorgeous, so good. Amazing feet all throughout the very end of that. Super controlled, super articulated, great point. Finishes super strong, super elegantly, gets up, leaves the stage, gorgeous exit. Overall, that was brilliant. That was freaking phenomenal. BRYNN, I think I have something for you. Because that was the first place overall competition kind of solo. Like, that was incredible. So overall, my feedback for BRYNN, absolutely incredible. Cream of the crop, top of your age group. Was this the absolute best choreography for BRYNN's personal styles? I don't think so. Does that mean that this wasn't an absolutely brilliant, incredible solo that she nailed? No, she completely nailed it. It was absolutely exquisite. Are there things that she needs to work on? Of course, there's always little things that she needs to work on, but is she like the absolute cream of her crop, like the best of her age? Like, incredible technique, beautiful lines, gorgeous mobility, absolutely all of that was exquisite. She is, and always has been, an incredible, exquisite dancer. Round of applause to that. I thought that this solo was so good. I'm going to go over a couple things that I think that she could work on that we did hit on during the video, but if there was only one key takeaway to take away from this entire thing for BRYNN to work on that I think would make the biggest difference, the highest impact, would be fixing the head posture. Overall, BRYNN has a God-given facility. Like, not many people are going to be graced with that kind of dancer's aesthetic. She looks like she would be a prima ballerina, but the one giveaway is the neck and the head. And I say this with love because I also dance with the same forward head posture. I see it all the time. I've been trying to correct it my whole life. Every time I see a clip of me on film, whether it's acting, dancing, anything like that, I'm always trying to work on my posture because I naturally, as a lanky, thin person, also struggle with posture. And for her, I think that it would make such a big difference. It would make her look like an exquisite ballerina, prima ballerina, just having that extra focus on making sure that her head posture is nice and that her neck is nice and elongated. Aside from that, I would say that her upper body looks like it is not as controlled in general, like from here all the way up. Like, that includes the neck, it includes the carriage of the arms throughout the back and using the arms themselves, and these things are all connected. So the more that she learns to properly engage the neck and the back and the scapula, to really carry the arms from the back and to keep all of this engaged, the more it's going to be easy for her to connect the head posture and to have everything looking elegant and to help support and lift her body throughout her body instead of it all being on the lower body. I would also say that, like I mentioned in the video, that she could work more to get to her highest releve. She has a lot of mobility and the ability to go into a really high releve in her ankles, so to make sure that she's using that, to be careful not to roll into those arches, because she does that a little bit. I would say as well to make sure to support that turnout, because she has that God-given gift of having the incredible hypermobility so that she can have flat 180-degree turnout, so making sure that she controls that, and not only just for beautiful lines, but to make sure that she can use it and have that facility for the rest of her life and that she doesn't get any injuries. So like I said, I mentioned spiraling. So you want to engage the hamstring, pulling up on those quads, pulling up on the knee, engaging the calf, and having everything turning out. All of your turnout starts from the hip, but it doesn't all come from the hip. You need to really engage everything. So those are my main tips for her as well, to make sure to just pull up on the hips. If you think of your hips as a bowl of spaghetti, like I've mentioned in previous videos, to make sure that you pull up on those hip muscles, the hip flexors, so that you don't dump the spaghetti on the floor, and make sure that you keep that belly button to your spine, engaging those abs. It will help make it so much easier for you to have the space to work through your turnout as well. And the more that your hips are tilted forward, the less room you have to turn out your femur within the socket. So those are my tips for her. Overall though, like I said, absolutely brilliant. This is just me being absolutely nitpicky so that somebody out there learns something from watching this video. And I think that that is it from me. If you have any suggestions for other videos you'd like me to react to and critique, they don't have to be just dance moms, they can be anything. Let me know down in the comments below. And thank you to my patrons for supporting this channel, as always. And as always, make sure to be weird, be wild, and stay sparkly. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.